Blessings upon you, beautiful soul. Welcome to Angel's message for you. The angels are so deeply glad you are here today, in this moment, reading these words. You were guided to this message, and that is no accident. Nothing about your being here right now is random. Something in the universe, something wise and loving and completely devoted to your well-being, made sure your eyes found these words at this exact moment in your life. So before you do anything else, just pause. Just breathe. Place one hand over your heart if you feel called to. And know with every part of your being that you are exactly where you are supposed to be. Now, I need to ask you something important. Something that might stop you right in your tracks. Have you ever felt a love so deep inside your chest that it almost hurt to hold it? A connection so real, so alive, so present in your thoughts and in your quiet moments that you wondered how something so powerful could still feel so out of reach. A feeling that lived in you like a song you could not stop hearing, even when the world around you was completely silent. If your heart just said yes, then what I am about to share with you is going to change everything. Stay with me all the way through, because the message the angels are bringing you today is one of the most important ones your soul has ever needed to hear. Every single word that follows was meant for you, and only you. Do not rush. Do not skip ahead. Let every word settle into you like light through a window, because by the time you reach the end of this message, something inside you is going to shift. Something is going to open, and you are going to understand, maybe for the very first time, exactly what has been happening and why. Something is shifting. Right now, in this very season of your life, a love that has lived in the invisible world is being called into the real one. And that shift, as beautiful and as necessary as it is, may feel a little scary. It may feel like something is ending. It may feel like the ground beneath your feet is moving, like the things you counted on are rearranging themselves without your permission. But the angels say this clearly, and they want you to hold on to it with both hands. What feels like an ending is actually a doorway. And on the other side of that doorway is the fullest, most alive, most breathing version of the love you have been holding in your heart. Here is what the angels want you to truly understand, down in the deepest part of yourself. The connection between you and the one your soul recognizes, the one whose name lights something up inside you even now, that connection has been growing. Not shrinking, not fading, not dying, growing. And when something grows big enough, it can no longer stay in the small space it started in. A river that swells with rain cannot stay inside its original banks. It must spread. It must find new land to flow through. That is what is happening now. The love you two share has grown so large, so deep, so full, that it can no longer live only in thoughts, in prayers, in signs, and in quiet spiritual energy exchanged across the invisible. It is pressing itself outward. It is looking for a home in the real world. It wants to be seen, to be touched, to be lived. And that outward pressing, that urgency you have been feeling is not a problem. It is an answer. You may have noticed lately that something feels different. There may be a tension in the air that was not there before. A strange silence where there used to be warmth. A distance that showed up without a clear explanation, like a cloud that drifted in while you were looking the other way. And maybe it left you confused. Maybe it left you a little afraid. Maybe it woke you up in the middle of the night with questions you could not answer. The angels see all of that. They see every sleepless moment. They see every time you reached for your phone and then put it down. They see every prayer you whispered when you did not know what else to do. And they want to tell you with such tenderness, with such absolute certainty, what you are feeling is not the loss of something. It is the announcement of something. Heaven is not taking this love away from you. Heaven is asking it to grow up. Heaven is asking it to take form. Heaven is calling this love out of the shadows and into the light. Think about it this way, because this picture might help you feel the truth of what is happening. Imagine a seed planted deep in the earth. In the dark, underground, invisible to everyone who walks above it, that seed is alive. It is completely, powerfully, purposefully alive. It is real. It is full of potential so vast it cannot even be measured. And for a while, the darkness is exactly what it needs. The soil, the quiet, the unseen process of taking root. All of that is necessary. All of that is sacred. But there comes a moment, always, when staying underground is no longer enough. The roots have done their work. The shoot is ready. The tree inside the seed is straining towards something it has never seen but somehow knows is there. Light, open air, sky. And that moment, the moment it breaks through the surface, can feel like disruption, can feel like something cracking open. It can feel uncomfortable, even violent in a small and necessary way. But it is not death. It is not failure. It is not the end. It is life, finally and fully demanding its rightful place in the world. That is where this love is right now, breaking through the surface, asking for sky, the person your heart knows so well, this soul that has been connected to yours in ways that words can barely hold. They are tired of dreaming, not tired of loving. Please hear that clearly. Not tired of loving. Tired of loving only in the invisible. Tired of a love that lives entirely on the inside, that has no address in the real world, that leaves them reaching for something warm in the night and finding only the echo of what could be. Their heart has been quietly asking for more, not with loud demands, not with ultimatums, but with small changes that you have been picking up on, even if you could not name them. A shift in rhythm, silences that feel heavier than they used to, a subtle pulling back that you felt in your chest before you ever understood it with your mind. And the angels want you to understand with complete clarity what that silence actually means. That silence is not rejection. It is a cry. It is the sound of a heart saying, I need this love to be real. I need to know that what we feel can actually be lived. I need to know there is a future here, not just a feeling. This is not about someone giving up on you. This is not about someone deciding you are not worth it. This is about someone loving you so much, so completely, so deeply, so honestly, that they can no longer pretend that halfway is enough. That is not a small thing. That is one of the most courageous, most real things a heart can do. And here is the part that the angels most want you to feel in your heart right now. You are not being left behind. You are being called forward. There is a difference, and it matters more than you know. Left behind means you are not wanted. Called forward means you are needed, but in a new way, in a bigger way, in a more present and more real way than ever before. The angels are not standing at a door watching you get smaller in the distance. They are standing at a door, holding it wide open, saying, Come, come through. There is so much more on this side. Come and see what love looks like when it gets to breathe. The angels are asking you to hear what comes next gently but clearly. The waiting room is closing. The season of holding everything in your heart, of sustaining this love only on the spiritual plane, of feeling deeply and completely but staying still. That season is coming to its natural end. Not because anything went wrong. Let that in. Not because you did something wrong. Not because this love was not strong enough. But because everything went right. Because the love you two built in the invisible has done exactly, perfectly, completely what it was supposed to do. Prepared you, tested you, deepened you. It made your hearts ready. And now that readiness, all that faith, all that patience, all that invisible work is being called into action. The preparation is over. The real story is beginning. God does not allow this kind of stirring without purpose. When the soul starts to feel restless like this, when the heart can no longer be satisfied by the same things that once felt like enough, it is a signal, a divine signal. Something new is being born, not just inside you, but in your actual life, in the tangible, visible, touchable space between you and this person, in the territory where love becomes something you can see and hold and live inside of every single day. Your soulmate is standing at a crossroads too. Even if you cannot see it clearly from where you are right now, even if the distance between you makes it hard to read what is happening on their side, this person is also feeling the pull, also questioning, also lying awake with thoughts that will not quiet down, also sensing, in that deep place below all the noise, that things cannot go on the way they have been. There is something in their heart that has overflowed, a longing that got so full, so pressurized, that it started spilling over into distance, into silence, into behavior that may have puzzled you or even hurt you. But here is what the angels need you to know about that. What looks like pulling away is actually a quiet and desperate reaching. It is love that has nowhere left to go but toward real life. It is a heart that has loved in the invisible for as long as it can, and is now leaning, even without words, towards something more. The angels have been watching over both of you. Every moment, every prayer, every tear, every moment of hope and every moment of doubt. And they are clear about this. This connection was never meant to live only in the spiritual. It was always meant to travel all the way into the physical world, into your everyday moments, into the ordinary and quietly beautiful details of a shared life, into morning conversations and shared meals and the kind of comfortable silence that only people who truly know each other can sit inside of. That was always the destination. The spiritual was the path. Real life was always the destination. And heaven has heard every silent prayer you sent up, every trembling hope, every moment you looked for a sign in the middle of confusion and found one, or didn't find one and kept believing anyway. None of it went unheard. None of it was lost. Not a single feeling was wasted. Not a single moment of faith was invisible to the universe. Every single one of those prayers landed. Every single one was received. And here is the most breathtaking part of the message the angels want to give you today. When two hearts ask for the same thing, even from different distances, even in different ways, even through all the complicated layers of fear and pride and uncertainty that human hearts carry, heaven moves. Both of you have been asking, maybe not in the same words, maybe not at the same time, but the same prayer has been rising from both hearts, and heaven has been answering. What looks like disruption right now is actually an answer taking shape. The pressure you feel is not a sign that something is falling apart. The urgency is not a warning that you are running out of time. All of it, every bit of the discomfort, every bit of the restlessness, is heaven speaking back to you, saying yes, yes to this love, yes to this life together, yes to everything you have been hoping for and holding on to through all the difficult days. But yes from heaven still requires yes from you. The angels can align the stars. They can prepare the path and soften the ground and clear away what no longer belongs in your story. They can whisper guidance and send signs and arrange moments of perfect timing. But they cannot take the step for you. That step is yours. It always has been. And that step, whatever it looks like in your life, whatever form it takes, is not about doing something grand or dramatic or perfectly planned. It is about doing something real, something true, something that says, I am here. I am choosing this. I am not just feeling this love. I am willing to live it. You know what has been holding things back if you are honest with yourself. It is not the lack of love. There has never been a lack of love. The love has been immense and constant and real from the very beginning. What has been holding things back is fear. The fear that love, this real, full, breathing, alive love, might not survive contact with real life. The fear that if you reach for it, it might disappear. The fear that what feels so beautiful in the spiritual space might somehow become less beautiful when it has to stand in the light and be seen. But the angels say clearly and with such certainty that fear is the last wall between you and everything you have been asking for. And it is time, gently, bravely, to let it fall. Think about the recent days. Sit with them for a moment. Think about what you have been feeling when you wake up in the morning before the day takes over. That ache that greets you before you are fully awake. That urgency that hums underneath everything you do. That sense of something pressing at the edges of your heart, asking to be acknowledged, asking to be acted upon. The angels say those feelings are not random. They are not anxiety without a cause. They are not your mind playing tricks. They are the voice of heaven saying, "The time has come. Move, choose, live." And what about the distance you felt from the one you love? The coldness that seemed to come out of nowhere, like a light that flickered when you were sure the power was steady? The change in energy that you noticed even when nothing was said, even when everything on the surface looked the same. The angels want you to sit with this truth. That distance is the sound of a heart that loves you so much it can no longer pretend that almost is enough. It is not a door closing. It is a heart knocking. Quietly at first, then louder, then with everything it has. The question is, will you open the door? Everything you built in the invisible was real. Every synchronicity that made you stop and stare. Every sign that landed in your chest like an arrow finding its mark. Every prayer sent up in faith when you had nothing visible to hold on to. Every moment of trust in the dark when nothing seemed to be moving and you chose to keep believing anyway. All of it was real. All of it had purpose. And the purpose of all of it was to bring you here, to this exact moment, to the place where faith becomes action, where feeling becomes living, where the spiritual love you have been protecting and nurturing for so long finally steps out into the sunlight and becomes a story that can be seen and touched and shared and celebrated. The angels want you to know something about the one your soul loves so deeply, something that might surprise you. This person is closer to choosing than you may think. Even behind the silence, even behind the change in behavior, even in the moments that felt like distance or withdrawal or confusion, there is a heart that is ready, or getting ready quietly and with great tenderness, to make a real choice. And that choice has everything to do with whether they believe you will meet them there, in the real world, with presence, with honesty, with commitment, with the kind of courage that says, "I am not just feeling this, I am choosing this," out loud, in the light, for real. Your soulmate does not need perfection from you. They do not need you to have every answer or to have figured everything out before you move. What they need is the truth of your heart expressed in a way that reaches beyond the invisible. They need to feel that you are willing to live this, not just feel it, not just believe it in the quiet of your own heart, but actually live it in the world where both of you exist. And that willingness, that simple, imperfect, deeply courageous willingness, is what heaven is asking from you right now. The angels see the fear. Of course they do. They see every part of you, including the tender, uncertain part that wonders, what if I take this step and things do not turn out the way I hope? What if I reach and I miss? What if showing up fully and honestly somehow makes things worse? But here is the truth the angels want to pour straight into your heart today. The truth they need you to hear above everything else. The greatest risk is not in stepping forward. The greatest risk, the one that carries the heaviest potential for loss, is in staying still. Because a love this deep, kept too long without action, without presence, without real-world roots to grow into, begins to quiet down. Not because it dies, but because the heart that carries it grows tired of waiting alone. And when the heart grows too tired, it begins to protect itself. It begins to build quiet walls. Not out of anger, not out of lovelessness, but out of survival. And your soulmate's heart is already very tired. This is not a punishment. It is not a verdict. It is a truth, and the angels bring it to you with nothing but love, because they need you to understand what is at stake. Not to create fear, but to awaken clarity. The love between you is extraordinary. Truly is. It was designed to be extraordinary. But extraordinary love still needs ordinary presence. It still needs to be chosen day after day, in the small moments and the quiet exchanges and the real, sometimes messy, always beautiful texture of a shared life. Heaven has been preparing something extraordinary for you. Even in the moments when you could not feel it, even when everything seemed still or stuck or moving backward, the unseen world was already rearranging things on your behalf. Paths are being aligned. Moments are being prepared with a care and a precision you would not believe if you could see it. Encounters are being set up. The spiritual machinery of your love story has been working through the silence, through the distance, through every moment of confusion and doubt. All of it is preparation. Every single bit of it. All of it is part of a plan drawn by something so much greater, so much wiser, so much more devoted to your happiness than your fear would ever allow you to believe. But a plan from heaven still needs two hearts that are open. It needs two souls who are willing to receive what is being prepared for them. And the angels are asking you right now to be open, not to force anything, not to grasp or control or make something happen before it's time, but to surrender, to genuinely, honestly, bravely surrender, to let this love be what it is so clearly ready to be, to stop protecting yourself from the very thing you have been praying for. Because here is a truth that is difficult but important. Sometimes the walls we build to protect ourselves from being hurt are the exact same walls that keep out the very love we are aching for. There is something that happens when we hold love at arm's length because we are afraid of losing it. Slowly, quietly, without anyone making a dramatic decision, we end up losing it anyway, through the very act of keeping it at a safe distance. The angels are asking you not to let that happen. They are asking you to trust. Not blindly, not by ignoring your own wisdom or your own discernment, but to trust with the full weight of everything you have already felt and everything heaven has already shown you about this connection and about the love at the center of it. You were brought to this moment for a reason. The fact that these words are reaching you right now is not random. You were guided here by the same force that has been guiding this love story since before either of you could name it. And that force, loving, wise, completely committed to your highest good, is still at work, still moving, still preparing, still believing in what is possible for you, even when you forget to believe in it yourself. What is being asked of you now is not easy. The angels will never pretend that it is easy, but it is simpler than you think. It is not a leap off a cliff into the unknown. It is more like opening a window that has been closed for too long, letting fresh air in, letting the love that has been living in the private, sheltered, carefully protected space of your heart step out into the open air, Feel the sun on its face, and finally breathe. Just breathe. Maybe it is a conversation you have been putting off. One that you have rehearsed in your mind 100 times but could never quite find the courage to start. Maybe it is something you have wanted to say for a long time but kept swallowing down, afraid of what would happen if you let it out. Maybe it is a decision that has been forming quietly and persistently in the back of your heart and has not yet made it all the way to the surface where you can act on it. Whatever form it takes for you, whatever the specific step is that your heart already knows you need to take, the angels say it is time, not tomorrow, not when everything feels more certain or more safe or more perfectly aligned. Now, with all your imperfection, with all your uncertainty, with all your very human fear riding along for the trip, now, because this is what love requires, not perfection, presence. Simply, completely, beautifully presence. And in case no one has said this to you lately with the kind of full-hearted clarity that you needed to hear it, you are worth a love that lives in the real world. You are worth a story that can be seen. You are worth someone showing up not just as a feeling in your heart, not just as a presence in the spiritual realm, but in your actual life, in your actual days. In the beautiful, ordinary, irreplaceable moments that make up a real shared existence. And the one your soul loves, they are worth you showing up to. Fully, honestly, bravely, in the world where love actually happens. The angels say this is not the end of this connection. Say that to yourself again if you need to. This is not the end. This is the beginning of the greatest chapter this connection has ever known. What felt like distance was preparation. What felt like silence was an invitation written in a language you are only now learning to read. What felt like loss was actually transformation. The universe quietly, lovingly, purposefully rearranging everything so that what you and this person share can finally take its rightful form. The form it was always meant to take. You have done the hard work of believing when nothing was visible. You have held this love in your heart through days when there was nothing to show for it, nothing to point to, nothing that the world around you could see or understand. You have been faithful in the invisible, and that faithfulness is not wasted. It never was. It was building something. And now it is time to do the next kind of work, the courageous, present, real-world work of living what you believe. Step by step, truth by truth, choice by choice, day by day. And as you take that step, as you begin to move toward what has been calling you, know this with everything you are. You are not alone. You have never been alone. The angels walk with you every single step. Heaven is behind you, fully and completely and without condition. Everything you have asked for in your most honest moments, your most vulnerable prayers, your most quiet and desperate and faithful requests. All of it has been heard, and it is being answered right now, in ways you are only just beginning to understand, in ways that are going to unfold before your eyes in the coming days and weeks with a beauty and a precision that will take your breath away. The spiritual connection you have shared with this person has not been an accident. It has not been a coincidence. It has not been wishful thinking or imagination or something you manufactured out of longing. It has been real. It has been guided. It has been protected by heaven from the very beginning. And that same protection, that same divine care, is still present, still active, still working on your behalf with the same commitment and the same love that started this whole story in the first place. What the angels want you to feel right now in this moment is hope. Real hope, not the fragile, desperate kind that trembles when the wind blows, but the deep, anchored, unshakable kind that comes from knowing, truly knowing, that you are loved by a universe that does not make mistakes. That the love at the center of your heart has not been a detour. It has been a destination, and you are arriving. There is so much goodness ahead of you, so much beauty waiting to unfold. The love you have carried with such care and such faith is about to step out of the spiritual and into the living, breathing, touchable world. And when it does, everything you have been through to get here will make sense. Every moment of waiting will reveal itself as preparation. Every moment of distance will reveal itself as the space that was needed for something greater to take shape. Receive this blessing right now. Open your hands and your heart and receive it. You who have loved so faithfully in the quiet and the invisible, it is time. It is finally, beautifully, completely time. Time to let that love come alive in a way you can feel with your whole body and see with your open eyes. It is time to let it breathe. It is time to let it become the beautiful, real, present, fully alive love it was always, from the very beginning, meant to be. The angels are with you. They have always been with you. God has heard every prayer, even the ones you thought were too small or too selfish or too broken to deserve an answer. And this love, this extraordinary, soul-deep, heaven-guided love, is not ending. It has never been ending. It is finally beginning, the real beginning, the one that everything before now was preparing you for. Say yes. Say yes to the love. Say yes to the courage. Say yes to the life that is waiting for you on the other side of the fear. Say yes to the real and the present and the beautiful and the possible. Heaven has already said yes. Now it is your turn. With infinite love and divine protection surrounding you in every direction. Above you, below you, beside you, within you. Your angels are always by your side, guiding every step, lighting every path, catching you when you stumble, celebrating you when you rise, believing in you even in the moments when you forget to believe in yourself. You are seen completely and fully, exactly as you are. You are held with a tenderness that goes beyond anything words can capture. You are so deeply, so unconditionally, so eternally loved. And that love, the love that flows from heaven into your life every single day, never, ever, ever runs out. Go forward, beautiful soul. The angels are cheering you on. And before you go, the angels have one more thing they want to say to you. Because this message is not just about the love between you and another soul. It is also about the love you carry for yourself. And that matters just as much, maybe even more, than anything else shared in this message today. There is something that happens in the heart of a person who has loved deeply across distance and time and invisible spaces. Something quiet and important and sometimes a little painful. You begin to pour so much of yourself into what you feel, into the hoping and the waiting and the believing, that you forget to pour some of that same devotion back into yourself. You forget to tend to your own heart with the same care and faithfulness that you have given to this connection. And the angels see that. They see the ways you have set yourself aside. The ways you have told yourself to be patient, to be still, to keep holding on, while deep inside parts of you were asking for something too. Parts of you were lonely. Parts of you needed tending. Parts of you needed to be told, you matter. Your needs matter. Your heart matters. Not just as part of this love story, but as a whole, complete, luminous human being all on your own. So this is what the angels want to say to you, from the most tender and devoted place in all of heaven. You are not just a supporting character in someone else's love story. You are the main character of your own. And your life, your beautiful, precious, singular life, deserves to be fully inhabited by you. Not held in suspension while you wait for love to arrive. Not paused in the in-between while you hope for something to change. Lived. Fully, joyfully, completely lived, right now, exactly as things are, even as they are becoming something greater. Because here is a truth that the angels have watched human hearts struggle with for as long as love has existed. We sometimes believe that we will really start living once a certain thing happens. Once this love is real. Once this person chooses us. Once the waiting is over and the story we have been carrying in our hearts finally steps out into the world. We believe that life is what comes after. But life is what is happening right now. This moment is your life. These days are your life. And the fullness of your joy, your peace, your sense of purpose and beauty and meaning, those things do not have to wait for love to arrive. They can be present right now. They should be present right now. And when you are genuinely, deeply inhabiting your own life with all its richness and beauty, something extraordinary happens. The love you have been waiting for finds it much easier to find you. You become a whole person meeting another whole person. Not a waiting heart meeting a hoped-for completion. And that is the most beautiful, most solid, most lasting foundation that any love can be built upon. So while you take this step that heaven is asking of you, while you move toward the real and the present and the lived love that this connection is ready to become, also step toward yourself, toward your own joy, toward your own dreams, toward the things that light you up from the inside and make you feel like the fullest version of who you were created to be. Because that person, that lit up, alive, wholehearted version of you, is exactly who this love story needs, is exactly who you deserve to be, is exactly who heaven sees when it looks at you with eyes full of nothing but pride and delight. The angels also want to speak to the part of you that has been carrying guilt. Maybe there have been moments when you wondered if you did something wrong to create the distance you felt. Maybe there have been moments of self-blame, of going back through memories looking for the thing you said or did that might have caused the shift. Maybe there have been moments of feeling like you were somehow not enough. Not spiritual enough, not patient enough, not loving enough to hold this connection in the way it needed to be held. The angels want to speak directly to that part of you right now and say, let it go. Please let it go. You have been doing the best you could with everything you had. You have loved imperfectly, the way all humans do, and that imperfection does not disqualify you from being deeply, fully, completely loved in return. Heaven does not grade love on a scale of perfection. Heaven looks at the heart, and your heart, with all its searching and hoping and questioning and faithfulness, is beautiful. It is worthy. It is enough. The distance you felt was not your punishment. The silence was not your sentence. The confusing behavior of the one you love was not a verdict on your value. All of it was part of a larger movement, a larger story, a larger love that is still unfolding with more grace and care and divine intention than either of you has fully seen yet. And now that you are beginning to understand what has truly been happening, now that you can see the seed breaking through the surface instead of just feeling the pressure of it, you can set down the guilt. You can set down the fear. You can set down the story that something went wrong. Nothing went wrong. Everything is going exactly right. Let the angels carry what you have been carrying alone. That is what they are here for. Not just to bring messages and guidance and divine revelation, but to carry the weight, the worry, the uncertainty, the things you have been holding so tightly in your hands because you were afraid that if you let them go, everything would fall apart. Let them go. The angels will catch what needs to be caught and release what needs to be released. And your hands, now open and free, will be ready to receive what heaven is preparing to place in them. There is a sacred word that the angels use when they speak about this moment in your story, and that word is trust. Not the surface kind of trust that says everything will turn out the way I planned, but the deep, surrendered, anchored in something real kind of trust that says, I do not need to see the whole path to take the next step. I do not need to have all the answers to ask the most important question. I do not need the guarantee to make the choice. I trust the love. I trust the connection. I trust the force that brought two souls together across all the circumstances and distances and complications that stood between them. I trust that this force, this God, this universe, this love that is greater than both of us knows what it is doing. And that trust is not weakness. That trust is not naivety. That trust is one of the most powerful, most courageous, most spiritually mature things a human heart can choose. Because trust, real trust, requires you to release control. And releasing control is terrifying for most people. Because control feels like safety, but it is not. It is a very small room. And love, real, alive, full, extraordinary love, cannot live in a small room. It needs the open sky. So open the sky, open your hands, open your heart. Let heaven move through all of it. Let love find its way to you in the form it has been preparing to take. Let this connection become what it has always been meant to be. Not just a feeling shared in the invisible, but a living, breathing, beautiful, courageous story shared in the real world. The angels are so proud of you for seeking, for staying open, for finding this message on this particular day, for being the kind of soul that believes in something bigger than what it can see. That quality in you, that openness, that faith, that willingness to look beyond the surface for a deeper truth, is one of your greatest gifts. It is also what makes you someone worth loving deeply. It is what makes you someone capable of receiving a love that goes all the way down. And one day, soon, the angels believe sooner than fear would have you think, you are going to look back on this season. This confusing, uncertain, stretching, hope and fear-tangled season. And you are going to understand it completely. You are going to see how every piece of it was necessary. How every moment of distance was doing something important. How every moment of silence was holding space for something real. How every prayer was landing exactly where it needed to go. And you are going to feel, in the very core of your being, a gratitude so full it cannot be contained, for the love that was strong enough to grow, for the heaven that cared enough to guide it, and for the version of yourself who was brave enough to say yes. That day is coming. And until it does, the angels are right here, walking with you, whispering hope into the moments when it feels hard to hold on to, lighting the way one step at a time, one day at a time, one courageous choice at a time. You are loved beyond measure. You are guided with such care. You are never, not for one single moment, alone. And the love you have been carrying in your heart, that deep, faithful, real love, it is not going to stay invisible forever. It is coming into the light. Right now, it is coming into the light. Receive this blessing. Let it settle into every part of you. Let it reach the places where doubt has been living. Let it soften the places where fear has made its home. Let it fill you up until there is no room left for anything that is not love and truth and hope and the quiet, unshakable certainty that heaven is on your side. It has always been on your side. Go forward with peace. Go forward with courage. Go forward with an open heart and open hands and the deep, anchored knowing that what is meant for you will find you. It is already finding you. Right now, in this very moment, it is already on its way. The angels love you. Heaven is with you. And the best of your story is still ahead. One final thing. As you move through the rest of today and the days that follow, the angels are asking you to pay attention in a new way. Not the anxious, scanning, searching kind of attention that looks for signs because it is afraid, but the calm, open, receptive kind of attention that notices because it is present. Notice the small moments of warmth that find their way to you. Notice the thoughts that arise unexpectedly, the memories that surface without invitation, the gentle inner knowing that nudges you in a direction. Notice the way the world around you sometimes seems to arrange itself to bring you exactly what you needed exactly when you needed it. All of those things are the angels speaking. All of those things are heaven moving on your behalf. And as you get better at noticing, you will realize something beautiful. You have never been as alone as fear tried to tell you. You have been accompanied every single step of the way by a love so vast and so devoted that it does not have a name big enough to hold it. You have been walked with, guided, held, and celebrated by forces you cannot always see but can always, if you are quiet enough, feel. That will not change. That has never changed. And it never will. The love of heaven for you is not conditional. It does not rise and fall with your circumstances. It does not waver when you doubt or stumble or lose your way. It is constant. It is eternal. It is the most real thing there is. And it is yours. Completely, unreservedly, forever yours. Go in peace, beautiful soul. The angels are right behind you every step of the way. Amen.